In this video, we will talk about the software development models and testing and the place that testing takes in those software development models. And I hope this may fill some gaps that may be left behind from one of the previous videos where we were talking about software testing history. We should start with the disclaimer here. This is really not a detailed review of the software development models, because there are much more models than we may review here. So it's just a quick answer to where is the testing in some models. Okay, let's start. The first and most known model is the waterfall, where actions are combined like stairs, which water flows over. As we can see, there is a lot of actions here, a lot of stages. And as we also can see, software testing starts nearly from the second half of the project. Of course, some attempts of testing are made here, but real testing starts here. And why is that bad? Because this methodology doesn't imply the idea of returning back and fixing. If we found some defect here, it is almost impossible to return here or here and fix it. So we may only deal with the situation and try to fix it somehow while going forward. The second well-known model is V model, and it somehow tries to fix all those mistakes of waterfall. As we can see, software testing somehow appears between stages. By the way, stages are the same, so you may just rewind the video back and make sure that's true. And like in waterfall model, testing goes here, and so on. But what's the main difference? The main difference is that we trying to think what may go wrong here that will affect this stage. What may go wrong here that will affect this stage, and so on. And of course, we can try to fix those wrongs here, not to have troubles there. One of the greatest achievements in IT history was reinvention, because it was not invented in IT for the first time, but reinvented and adapted. So there's the reinvention of the iterative incremental model. This idea is simple: to repeat and repeat and repeat and repeat the same circle of actions time after time, one after one, and so on. What benefits come from here? Of course, we can see almost the same steps as we saw earlier, but because we repeat those steps and really repeat those steps quickly, for instance, we found here that something bad was made at any other stage. That's not the trouble, because we know that in a week or in a month or in a couple of months we will revisit this stage or that stage or any other stage. So any defect detected somewhere may be fixed while going through the next iteration later. The iterative model is good, but it is rather expensive. It has a lot of bureaucracy and so on. It works good for big projects only. But what can we do with a rather small project or for a small group of people? So Agile model came to life. It also relies on the idea of repetition of some actions. Usually we have a small iteration for 1 working day, and we have a longer iteration for 2 to 4 weeks. And for such a long iteration, we just take some part of requirements from the whole set of requirements. We freeze these requirements so they are not changed during the sprint, and during these iterations we use the same idea. We revisit and revisit and revisit everything we've done a lot of times. So we cannot only improve previously done, but we can also fix some defects found or made on the previous iteration. And by the end of the iteration of this big iteration named sprint, we have something deliverable that we may pass to the customer to perform demo for him or even to pass into production. Of course, there are much more models, but in each and every model, the idea stays the same. If a model is non-iterative, the software testing lies between some dedicated stages. But if a model is iterative one, the software testing feels everything like air, like water. It flows through every action. It fills the whole software development process.